Hey everyone, and a happy new year to you all. I hope you had a lovely festive season, and here we are in 2024. In today's video, I'm going to share with you the latest update in regards to my fertility after my latest consultation with UCLH in December. Back in July of 23, I had a follow-up appointment from my ovarian transposition surgery that was in London. And whilst I was there, I had some blood tests done to work out where my hormone and fertility function levels were and are at. The results showed a multitude of things, but one of them was that my egg reserve is low. We did expect this because I do only have one functioning ovary now. However, we didn't expect the reserve to be as low as it is. We're talking like only a few years worth left. In the last video where I discussed my fertility, I was quite positive about it and the prognosis seemed quite optimistic. However, that has now evidently changed. The only way I have the potential to carry or host a pregnancy myself is if the tumour was to completely resect, but we do know that it's extremely unlikely that that's going to happen, which means I would need to look at an alternative route such as adoption or egg retrieval, IVF and surrogacy if I want to have a family. If I were to decide to go down the route of IVF, the initial process of egg retrieval becomes more complicated than the standard procedure, and that's because of my transposed ovary. A unilateral ovarian transposition surgery is already a very specialised operation. Therefore, the process and the procedure to retrieve eggs from a transposed ovary is even more specialised, and at the moment isn't, to my knowledge, being performed. Now, egg freezing isn't normally available on the NHS unless you are going through medical treatment which can affect your fertility, such as cancer treatments. However, because I am not currently on treatment, nor am I pre-treatment, the likelihood of me being able to have egg retrieval and freezing on the NHS is so low. I could make a case, but it is still very unlikely to be approved, which means my only option would then to be self-funded, and the cost of that would be 5 or 6 grand. And then you've got to take into consideration the costs of storage and everything else that comes with IVF and surrogacy. There are so many factors to consider and decisions to make when realistically there aren't any guarantees about anything, and I've also got a limited time to think about it because of my low reserve. For a while I've really quite struggled to comprehend my feelings surrounding my fertility. Although it was something that was mentioned very quickly after my diagnosis, and you know what to potentially expect, until you're at the point where you have to make decisions or you know what options you're left with, I don't think you can understand the extent of what's happening in the situation you're in. I've also never really thought about my intentions and wants when it comes to children and having a family. I think purely because it just hadn't been on my radar yet. That being said, adoption is something I'd always thought about and considered doing because, I mean, there's plenty of children out there that need a mum and a loving home. There are 2 feelings though which I think have been most prominent for me, and the first is frustration. It's something else that cancer has taken control over and taken away from me. And the second feeling is pressure. I put a lot of pressure on myself in general day-to-day life, always have done. But I feel a lot of pressure, especially now, to make the right choice, even though it's impossible to know what the right choice is. Do I go through the process of retrieving eggs and freezing them to then not end up using them? Freeze my eggs, go through IVF for it to be unsuccessful? Or do I decide to not go through that process and not have any eggs frozen to then in 10 years' time regret that decision? That is a lot to unpack. And I know this video has been heavier than the ones that have been out, especially recently, but it is a part of my journey, an important part, which is important to share and bring awareness to. With that being said, I am going to round off this video. As always, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Go and find me on other social media platforms such as TikTok and Instagram. Thank you very much for watching. Bye!